What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So I have the DVD right here. You got a little front view. You got Arnold there with the drip, with the leather jacket, looking cool. You got a little back view. Very nice. You got to have the Terminator 2 DVD. I'm gonna give you guys the inside scoop too, the inside look. So there's the disc. I'm cutting myself off. That's pretty sick. And then you got the little insert. Is there a back to this? Yeah, but that's boring. You don't want to see that, but you're seeing it. That's cool. That's neat. So yeah, got the DVD. This isn't like the OG Terminator 2 DVD that I had. I did own this on DVD back in the day, and I would rent it at Blockbuster a lot before I owned it. But this I picked up at Salvation Army quite a few months ago. I found part 1, part 2, and part 3 all on the same day, so I had to cash out. They were only 50 cents, and you know, the first 3 I definitely want to review. Maybe I'll review some of the other sequels eventually, but for right now I definitely want to review the first 3. Yeah, like part 2 has always been my favorite. I like part 1. Part 1 is an absolute classic, but part 2 is just, to me, part 2 is the best one. And part 3, I don't even remember. I remember nothing about part 3. Like barely anything. So yeah, Terminator 2 has always been my favorite in the franchise, and I after watching part 1, I loved part 1. Like I said, it's a classic. It's untouchable. But I think part 2 is even. It's like they like improved on so many things, and it's totally its own thing. It's a totally different. You know, it's a continuation of the story, but it's a different tone. It's a new story. It's like. It's hard to compare two great things, but I do like the second one better. But anyways, yeah, I think this movie's an absolute classic. It's fantastic. I don't know, like there's really nothing wrong with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It's I don't know. I've seen it a billion times. But anyways, jumping into a plot summary. A lot of people already know about the plot, but I'm obligated. It's in my YouTube contract. I have to give a plot summary, or else I get fired from YouTube. And this is my main source of income. You know, I got a fat amount of subscribers. I got that play button on my wall. So you know, I'm balling. So I gotta do what I gotta do. Gotta get in to fit in. So anyways, we're doing a plot summary. So in Terminator 2, John Connor. He's a young kid, and you know, he's just going about his daily life, and this prototype Terminator, the T-1000, which is like a liquid metal Terminator, is sent from the future to the present to kill John. And this other Terminator, the T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's also sent from the future to the present in order to protect John. So basically, John is trying to survive, not get killed by the T-1000, and later on he tries to break his mom out of this mental hospital. They reunite, and then later on, they're also, like John, Sarah, and the Terminator are also trying to blow up Cyberdyne Systems, which Cyberdyne Systems is like the precursor to Skynet. They make this. They go on to make this microprocessor that is like influential in the creation of Skynet. So yeah, basically the main cast of characters are trying to stay alive, not get killed by the T-1000, and they're trying to destroy all of the technology at Cyberdyne Systems so that Skynet is not created. So that is the basic plot summary. the first thing that I want to talk about is the Terminator 2 attraction at Universal Studios. So I used to, like when I was a kid, I would always go to Florida pretty much every year, around springtime. I would go to Florida with my family, and I was always like begging my parents, asking my parents like, can I go to Universal Studios? Let's go to Universal Studios, blah blah blah. And yeah, so like one time we went there, and it was a magical experience. Like I went on the Jaws ride. I mean the Jaws ride is classic. They got the Jaws ride in Mallrats, So I went on, like, they had like the Mummy ride, blah blah blah, like all these classic movies that I loved. They had all these rides and attractions, and I went there with like my whole family. My brother was there; he was into it as well. So I had a great time. And they had this Terminator 2 attraction at Universal Studios. It was called Terminator 2 3D, and it had like it's also known as T2 3D Battle Across Time. But yeah, what it is it's not a ride. It's more what it is. It's like this 3D mini sequel to Terminator 2, and it has like the actors from the actual film in it, and but then there's like live actors there too that are like interacting with the crowd, blah blah blah, and there's all this like these like Cyberdyne videos, and it's they have like all the tech from the movies, and there's like videos of the tech and blah blah blah, and I remember that was such a fun experience, and I was like, wow, it's like a mini sequel to T2, and it has the actual actors in it, and I don't know, it was so much fun because I always loved the movie, and that whole experience, like the whole experience of going to Universal Studios overall was fun, but the Terminator 2 attraction was absolutely phenomenal, so I had to mention that. Gotta mention, so one of the reasons why I always liked this more than the first one is because it's like it's like Terminator the first. Of course it's different than the first Terminator, but it's like the first Terminator on steroids. Like this movie was the most expensive movie ever made at the time it came out, and it was like revolutionary for having a fully CGI main character, with the T-1000, because there was CGI before. Like you watch 80s movies and they have like stuff like Weird Science or whatever. There's a little bit of CGI, like a lot of 80s movies had that like CGI lightning or what have you, but like this movie, like there was no movie to date that had this much CGI. And yeah, they like the T-1000, you would see, like, of course he was played by an actual actor, but like there was a lot of instances where his whole body was CGI, and like a lot of, like when he would turn his hands into weapons and blah blah blah, it was all CGI. And I feel like this movie was just bigger and better than the first movie. Like the effects were so much better. The action sequences were on steroids. I feel like the story overall, like I like the progression of the characters. Like Sarah Connor was a badass at the end of the first Terminator, but she is like she's an insane badass in this one. She's like self-taught, but she's like military. She's like basically like a self-taught special forces military operative. Like she does not play. So I like her character development. In the first movie we hear about John, but we never get to see him. In this one we got John Connor played by Edward Furlong. He was like my favorite iteration of John Connor. I liked what's his name, Christian Bale. I like Terminator Salvation. I remember that being one that I really liked. I liked his depiction of John Connor, but yeah, besides, like I gotta give Christian Bale an honorable mention, but I think Edward Furlong is just my favorite John Connor. Like he was the man, and I don't know, a lot of people are familiar with the story. He didn't have any prior acting experience. They wanted a real kid, and he auditioned. He got the role. Like for some kid they just picked off the street who had no acting experience. I thought he did very well in this. Like because he had to do some dramatic stuff, like when he's in the back seat crying and all the stuff towards the end. Like, I mean, he's got a little bit of range. Like he was a little kid too. Like if I was a little kid, I want to be able to go as hard as he did. Like he went hard. So shouts out Edward Furlong. But yeah, I think this movie, even though I love the first one and it's such a classic, it just the action sequences, they totally utilized that. Like for this being the biggest budget movie at the time, like it's not like they just blew the money. Like they fully realized their vision, they fully utilized that money, and like this is one of the most epic movies of all time, honestly. Like legit. Like we gotta get into, okay, like the motorcycle chase scene. Come on, the T-1000 is jumping a semi-truck off of a bridge, and then they're like doing all these motorcycle jumps. It's like, there was one with the funny thing I noticed though, like okay, so for a split second you can see the stunt double, and I feel like Arnold, I could see he had like two different stunt doubles. Like there was one stunt double on the jump that looked more like him, but then there was like one stunt double on this ground scene that like came up right by the semi truck on the motorcycle, and it looked like it was like a different face. Like he had two different stunt doubles. So like that wasn't a flaw, but I just thought that was funny. Maybe I was just tripping, but I feel like I was like, did those stunt doubles have slightly different faces? Like, of course they had slightly different faces than Arnold, but I'm like, did they get one stunt double to do that and one stunt double to do that? Like, that's crazy. But yeah, the motorcycle chase scene, so iconic, just amped up, awesome. When Sarah's escaping the mental hospital, I mean, that's beauteous. That's phenomenal. I like because at that point John, he told the Terminator like, don't kill anyone. So when the Terminator's going to the front gate to bust Sarah out of the mental hospital, he shoots this guy a couple times in the leg, and John's like, what are you talking about? I said no killing people. And he's like he'll live. Like that's all he says. And I like a lot of his little lines that he had where he was just, because since he's a robot, he's so cold and unemotional. He's just so matter of fact, and he'll just like quickly say something like that. Like he'll just say like a 2 or 3 word statement, and like over something that was like a huge deal, he's just like, oh, he'll live. Oh, and then like when the Terminator's on the phone with the T-1000, he just goes to John and he's like, your foster parents are dead. Like he doesn't, it's not like, if you get like bad news from a doctor, you want them to kind of like let you down easy. The Terminator, he just looks at him, your foster parents, they're dead. Like I thought that stuff was hilarious. And then I'm okay, I gotta go back to the action sequences, but yeah, I did want to talk about like the robotic delivery, but it's supposed to be robotic. That was great. That was super funny. So back to really good action sequences. The whole Cyberdyne sequence where they're, you got John, Sarah, the Terminator, and then Miles Dyson, who he works at Cyberdyne. He like eventually goes on to create, the technology that is used for Skynet. They all infiltrate Cyberdyne, and they're like trying to blow it up, and then so many cops come, and the Terminator whips out a minigun. He's just holding a minigun, and he's like just shooting all over the place, but he's not killing people, but he's like blowing up cars and this and that. And then like the police come in there, and it's just like a total like firefight. It's just they're just shooting back and forth, machine guns are going on, blah blah blah. Like that sequence was great. So yeah, those are some standout action sequences. Like there's countless, but iconic stuff. I mean, you gotta mention it. Okay, so going back to iconic lines, I like there's some new lines that in this, like, that weren't in the first one, that have since become iconic, like, you know, "Hasta la vista, baby." That's iconic. But I like how they used a couple of lines from the first movie, like the Terminator says, "I'll be back again," and then he steals Kyle Reese's line. He's like, "Come with me if you want to live." So I like that they kind of recycled those, because those are fun lines and super memorable. And I like that kind of like connective tissue, that like continuity. And then they kind of switched it up too, because, you know, of course, it was like a different Terminator saying, "I'll be back," and then, you know, you had Kyle saying, "Come with me if you want to live." So I like how it was the same but different. Also, something that was crazy to me in this is that they're trying to change the future, and there's no concern for like the butterfly effect, because usually in movies it's like if you are doing any sort of time travel, you cannot well, I guess Sarah and John weren't doing time travel. They were just in the present, but it's like they knew about the future, so they would be altering the future. So like I feel like in movies usually, like, there's talk of the butterfly effect. Like it's like if they do this, like if they shut down Cyberdyne, something else terrible is gonna happen, or it's just like. But in this, they were just like, nope. Like there's probably, they didn't even think of like, is there going to be a ripple effect? Are there going to be repercussions? They're just like, nope. Let's change the future. And I thought that was crazy and kind of different, because like I said, like movies, they always talk about the butterfly effect, and I was thinking like, if they do this, this, and this, is like, is the future going to be like completely different? Is it going to be? Because that's the thing. It could always, like, you think it's going to be better, but like, what if it's even worse? You know? So like, that's something that I was thinking. And then there's also this this theme of like, you make your own fate. Like John was talking about this. There's this like saying about you make your own fate, and you kind of create your future. And I believe that, but then there's like a lot of movies that kind of tackle like the other side of fate, where like you are not fully in control of your fate. Like there's destiny, and you're sent on this path, and like of course you have to put in the work, but like pretty much the script is already written for you. So this, you know, some movies or some people believe more that ideology. I don't, for like real life, I don't know what ideology I believe. I kind of believe like a little bit of both, but yeah, I thought it was interesting too how their ideology was like the future, your fate, like everything is up to you. You know, like you can ultimately like shape your entire future. You can shape future events. You have the power. So that's kind of like an empowering way to look at it, where it's like, yo, if something's not working out, if something bad is gonna happen, like, you have the power. Like, get off your ass. Like, you can change it. So I kind of like that theme. And then what else? Yeah, I mean, I could go on and talk about this movie for, 5 hours, but that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to talk about. And it might have been stuff that a lot of people have already talked about, but that's how it goes, talking about like a classic like this. Like, am I really bringing that much new information to the table? But I hope I did bring some passion. I hope that comes across in the videos. That's important. But anyways, just to summarize, just to wrap things up, this movie had fantastic performances. I really liked Edward Furlong as young John Connor. Uh, all of the lead cast of characters were fantastic. The action sequences were like still to date. I feel like some of the best action sequences ever. It's so big scale. Like this is just I don't know. Like this is like a serious like I don't know. This movie is an experience. Like it's 2.5 hours long. It's action packed. There's never a dull moment. It's it's an experience. Like it's like that good. It's fantastic. So yeah, the action was great. The story was great. And then there was some good dramatic moments too. Like there was some heartfelt moments between Sarah and John, and then the ending. I mean that ending. I'm telling you what, that tugs at your heartstrings. Like you watch Terminator 2. Like you might F around shed one tear, because it's like an action movie too. So it's like, you know, you you can't full on sob at the end of T2 because that's like a little bit out of place. But like on some gangster junk, you gotta at least shed like one tear for the Terminator. Like tonight, if I'm partaking in some libations, if I'm sipping some drinks, I gotta pour some out for the Terminator. Rest in peace, Terminator. Like he was the man. He was cool. I don't know, but anyways. Oh yeah, another thing before I head out, I liked John's relationship with the Terminator and how, the Terminator could never really understand what it's like to be human. Like he doesn't really have empathy or emotions, but he kind of like even though he can't fully understand the humans, he's like, I can never feel that, but I understand it. Like I kind of get it now, and I just liked their relationship, John and the Terminator's relationship, and he kind of teaches them like, no, you don't need to like kill people for no reason, like, like you have to like value life, and I don't know, it was kind of it was a nice little relationship, and it was I don't know, it like their on-screen chemistry was just really great. Like they just seemed like buddies, and it was, yeah, during the climax it was like it was actually like really sad. It always is really sad watching the end of this movie, but yeah, overall, I mean, this is a classic. It's fantastic. It's I've watched it a billion times. I used to watch it on repeat, so it was great revisiting it. If you have not seen this, I think you gotta watch this. It's one of the most influential, sci-fi action movies ever made. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, maybe give it a rewatch. I don't know. But anyways, that has been my review of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.